Do you want to improve your dog's recall? Does this best describe you and your dog? Baxter, come. Baxter, come here. Baxter, get here, now. Milo, come. I'm really sorry, sweetheart, he's friendly. Sam. He normally comes back when we're on a self. When other dogs and people are around, he just don't listen. The biggest problem people make is allowing their dog off-lead freedom before they've even taught the dog to come back to them. To start with, I want you to make sure you've got a low distraction environment like a field or your back garden. I want to make sure that you've got something that motivates your dog. If your dog is food motivated, then we can use the food or high value treats. Or maybe if your dog is not food motivated, we can use his favourite toy. And we're also going to need a long line, because from today I want you guys to put your dog on a long line and keep your dog on a long line while you go through this process. If we allow a dog off lead and freedom, we're allowing them to practice undesirable behaviours, and they're always going to practice what they always have. So now we have a low distraction environment, i.e. a field or your garden. We have your dog's dinner or high value treats or maybe a toy. We have a long line. It's now time to start the process. As you can see, I've attached the dog's long line. This gives me full control. Any time that the dog is not doing what I want him to do, I can easily just pick this up and just use it to guide him back to where I want him to be. So step one, activating the dog's prey drive. Dogs naturally want to chase, so we're going to use this to our full capability. I'm going to get some food in my hand and start to move backwards, and as the dog starts to follow me, I mark and reward when they get back to my hand, like so. Awesome. Yes, good. As you can see, I'm changing directions, moving back. The dog finds this really fun, and as soon as they get back to me, they get the reward. Yes, good. Yes, good girl. Yes, good. Yes. And I'm going to do this over and over again until the dog is doing this consistently without any issues. Step 2, treat toss. This is where we throw a treat on the floor, wait for the dog to pick up the treat, and as soon as the dog picks up the treat, we walk off or run off in a different direction and wait for the dog to chase after us. As soon as the dog gets to us, we mark and reward like so. Yes, good girl. Yes, good. Yes, good girl. Yes, good girl. Over time, I'm going to start to throw the treat out a little bit further, just adding a little bit of distance. Yes, good girl. Yes, good. And I'm going to practice this over and over again. Like I say, the dog finds this really fun. It becomes a game. They become motivated to come back for you. And I'm going to repeat this over and over again. Good. Step 3, pairing with a command. Now the dog is doing this consistently, we need to start pairing this behaviour with a command, so in future the dog understands what this command means. We do this by continuing to play the treat toss game, but we wait for the dog to start to head in our direction, and then we give the command word here or come, or whichever command that you want to use. And we do this by, again, throwing the treat out, waiting for the dog to come back towards us. Here! Yes, good. Another treat on the floor. Wait for the dog to eat the treat, wait for the dog to head in our direction, and then give the command. Here, good girl, yes. Here, yes, good. Here, good. We're just getting the dog used to knowing what that word means. Here, yes, good. Remember to mark and reward every time. Here, yes, good girl, big fuss, yes. And we're just going to continue doing that over and over again. Step 4, now we have paired the command word with the exercise that we want from the dog, and we've done it consistently and the dog is starting to understand what that word means. It's now time to put it into practice by saying the command word before the dog initiates the exercise. We're going to do this over and over again, mark and reward every time we have success. If at any point that the dog does not listen to us, we're not going to continue to repeat the command, as that is a big mistake that people make, as the dog then starts to realize they don't need to listen the first time, they can listen the 4th, 5th and 6th time, and then we have problems. The long line is there, so when you do give the dog the command the first time, if the dog was not to listen or to ignore you, we can then use the long line to guide the dog back to us. But if we was to do that, we wouldn't mark or reward that behavior. We'd just reset the dog and try again. If the dog is not listening to us consistently, then it's probably because the dog is not fully understanding the exercise, and we need to take 2-3 steps back and go over things again to make sure the dog fully understands before we move forward. So step 4, saying the command first. So what I'm going to do is toss a treat on the floor, move away from the dog, and as soon as the dog has picked the treat up, I'm going to say the command, and hopefully the dog starts to make their way towards me, which we will then mark and reward, and we'll continue doing this over and over again, moving in different directions, making sure that we say the word first, but allowing the dog to pick the treat up first, because we don't want to set the dog up to fail. If we was to throw a treat on the floor and the dog was still trying to find the treat and we gave the command, we're going to set the dog up to fail, because the dog's going to want to try and find that treat first. So we need to make sure that the treat has been consumed by the dog before the command is given. Ut! Here! Yes, good. Here! Yes, good girl. So as you can see, I'm throwing the treat on the floor. When the dog picks the treat up, here. Yes, and then I mark and reward and move off in a different direction. Here. Yes, good girl. Yeah. Here. Yes, good. I'm going to continue doing this over and over again until my dog is doing this consistently, because I don't want to introduce distractions until my dog is doing this perfect. Otherwise, I'm going to set my dog up to fail and we're going to take a few steps back, and it's going to cause a problem moving forward. So now we have activated the dog's natural prey drive by moving backwards, allowing them to follow us and luring them back, and marking and rewarding when they reach their hand. We've done the treat toss by throwing a treat on the floor, moving away, and then rewarding the dog when they get back to us. We've paired this with a command, which we've done whilst the dog is performing the exercise, and then we've initiated the command at the beginning by doing this at the beginning of the exercise, and the dog fully understands everything we've asked. It's now time to start to put this into practice in all environments. Most people only use a recall when they really need it and they've not practiced it prior, and that's why they fail a lot of the time. It's important we keep our dog on a long line when we're out on walks. Every 5 to 10 minutes we shout our dog back, we bring them back to us, we reward them, and then let them go off and explore again. As we practice this over and over again, we do this in multiple environments, we can start to add more and more distractions. And over time, this behavior is going to become more reliable in all environments. The biggest mistake that people make is they think that their dog is ready to come off the long line before they really are. What I say, if you think that your dog is ready to come off a long line, then I would then keep them on for a little bit longer, maybe 2 months or so. This just makes sure that your dog's recall is spot on before you start to put them into situations where they're going to fail. And the more times they fail and practice undesirable behaviours, the more that's going to become the normal, natural behaviour, and we don't want that. We want them coming back to us for reward and fuss. Get yourselves out and practice all these 5 steps of my recall training, and let us know how you get on in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you.